questions will be for the county commissioners. And Mr. Burrows will let you answer the first question first, and then Mr. Thacker. In the most recent bond issue, there was a percentage of money to be applied to the lawsuit settlement against Rogers County. If the sales tax increase was supposed to be enough to pay for that settlement, why was it enacted? But specifically the question is, what do you think about additional bond issues to pay for settlements once taxes have already been raised to pay for that?
Well, I am definitely not a proponent of tax increase. I mean, bonds or taxes, and you know, it's hard enough to get along. I know folks are working hard to make it happen. So really it comes down to being smart. Smart with the money the first time you go around. Make sure that it's utilized the way it's intended to be utilized. If there's additional money left over, then that needs to go back and in to help expedite paying off the bonds rather than taking out any additional bonds for additional burdens.
Could you repeat the question, please?
During the most recent bond issue, it included a percentage of money to be applied to the lawsuit settlement against Rogers County. If the sales tax increase was supposed to be enough for the settlement, why did the bond issue include additional funds?
You're referring to, I believe, the judgment that was brought against Rogers County, something that happened 18 years ago. The bond was passed because the law said that if you don't pass a bond issue, then it goes to ad valorem taxes, which has to be paid off in 3 years. So your homeowners, or your ad valorem would have went up tremendously, and it would have been paid off in 3 years. Any excess money that's drawn on that is sitting there when the bonds are called at the end. So bond issues are very complicated, but I think the gist of that question is, where's that excess going? And the excess is sitting there, so when the bonds are called, then they will be paid off. And that's what is actually happening there.
Okay. Mr. Thacker, we'll let you go first with this one.
Yes, sir.
There is a free dump site in District 3. Do you have, or do you know of any plans to close that dump site?
That's a great question. When I first became your county commissioner in 2007, we would get calls about 3-4 times a week to go out and pick up a mattress, big screen TV, a couch, whatever it may be. I'd have to pull guys off of what they were doing and go pick up various items. One day, I said if I could get people to bring the trash to me instead of having to go get it, that would be a plus. I investigated that, and through the Association of County Commissioners, every year since I implemented this program, we receive about $10,000 to pay for those dumpsters. I have no plans whatsoever to close it, because since I implemented that, we get about 2 calls per month to go out and pick up big screen TVs, couches, mattress, whatever it may be. So I have absolutely no plans. And the good part is, your local money is not paying for that entire service. It's through grants through ACO, or the Association of County Commissioners.
I think that program is a great program. As soon as it was implemented, I did see an immediate decrease in the amount of trash that was along the side of the road. Just a good program that I think I've heard over and over again as I've been out meeting people and talking to people, that they too feel that it's been a real benefit to them. I think at that point, now we've raised the bar on being able to help eliminate the trash. Something that I would like to say add on to that is just to look to see about getting some inmate, the trustees, to get out pick up the rest of the trash, rather than sitting on a bunk reading a magazine, see if they can't get out and pick up the rest of the trash.
Mr. Burrows, I'll let you go first on this one. You spoke earlier in the opening statements about street projects such as Rice Street. What can you say that you would do in a re-election or in an election to address lengthy delays in those street projects and bridge projects?
You know, can only answer that from the outside looking in, not having full control of that. But I just know my management style is one that it's get her done. There is no room for, you know, that image of county workers leaning on a shovel, 4 county workers leaning on a shovel and 1 working. I hate that image. I really do. I think the guys that are out there working it are working it hard. And so it's just a matter of just being involved and ensure that the focus is where it needs to be on projects that maybe have prolonged longer than they should have. They just drug out a little longer. And just having a real, you know, your finger on the pulse to know which projects are affecting the greatest number of people, and put your focus there so you can go ahead and you know, you see the best results that way when it impacts the greatest number of people, and then you just weed it down from there.
All I can say to that is I'll stand on my record. I get calls continuously where people will call and say, I need, you know, something done. Then they call me and thank me for getting it done so quickly. Larger projects, such as Rice Street Bridge, was actually implemented, or initiated rather, by the commissioner, not even the one before me, but the one before him. And there were some issues there with landowners, but lawsuits and different things. So, you know, it took me less than 2 years to get that project moving. Again, after it had stalled when I wasn't the commissioner over here for 9 years. So I'm very proud of that one. As far as certain projects, a lot of times you deal with ODOT, Oklahoma Department of Transportation, and when you're dealing with federal money, state money, you don't have full control of that. So, and there's a process. There's engineering, there's environmental, there's all kinds of different issues that go into a large project. So, I'd have to disagree on delays. I don't see them. And I'll again stand on my record on that one. And to one other issue, when it comes to inmate trash, that's a great program. And if we had a sheriff that would agree to that, because the sheriff has to agree. We've put it on the agenda several times. There's actually a state statute that says the county commissioners can order the sheriff to have inmates bust rocks with a sledgehammer. I believe it may be an antiquated law, but it's there. We have asked for inmate labor, and the answer has always been, well, the liability, and you know, we don't want to do it. So that's a two-pronged question. The current commissioners are 100% for it, and now the sheriff will have to decide if he wants to do it or not.
And the next question, and I'm going to combine a few here, but it begins with, I am sure that you agree that our young people need a place to work in Rogers County when they graduate from high school and college to prevent their leaving for other towns and states. You have all publicly stated that you're in favor of continued industrial development in Rogers County. The Rogers County Industrial Development Authority has proven that it can provide new jobs. Will you commit to continuing to fund the Rogers County Industrial Development Authority in your next term? And please talk about your other thoughts on the importance of economic growth and development in Rogers County, and what other ideas you may have to bring those into school, or into the county. Mr. Thacker.
Thank you. Another great question. When I was first elected, took office in 2007, about 6 months into the term, a company came to us, or rather to me because it was in District 3, and asked if I could support a zoning change for their business to move to Inola. They had 75 jobs at the time. They wanted to increase it to 150. They told me what they were going to do, what they needed, and I told that company, yes, I can support that. You have to, one other commissioner has to vote for it, but typically if it's in your district, they'll do it. That company is called Parfab, and they moved to Inola when they could have moved out of Rogers County into Mays County, where they had no zoning issues or anything like that. They've surpassed the doubling of their workforce, and they're up to around 300 people now, where it was only 75 jobs 7 years ago. In the process, I received over 100 letters, and I call them hate mail, one of them from my own sister, who said, don't you pass that zoning issue, okay? I had to be for it because those were, right then, 75 jobs that were leaving this county has turned into, like I said, 300. As far as Rogers County, the Industrial Development Authority, I absolutely support that. In fact, their director has a very profound saying, at least I think it is, you either support economic development or you don't. And so last year we gave Arceta, the entity that we're discussing here, $300,000. In fact, I actually put it on the agenda for this Monday to revisit that, to see if we can give them another subsidy or another issuance of money. And that's going to be on the agenda for Monday. And I'm in full support of that. They've done a lot of great things in Rogers County because jobs, and most people don't equate your county commissioner with job growth. Most people see roads, bridges, ditches, mowing the cemeteries, that sort of thing. That's something that the current board has been diligently working on, is getting jobs in Rogers County and retaining jobs in Rogers County. So that's a very important issue, and we'll see Monday if I can get my fellow commissioners, or at least one of them, to vote with me on that.
Economic development is an absolute necessity within the county, absolute necessity. And you take an entity like Rogers County Industrial Development Authority, and if you don't feed that machine, you're not going to experience growth. And that growth is from the county-wide. You know, Claremore has an industrial development authority that is worried about Claremore or working for Claremore. Arceta works for the rest of the county, those smaller communities that have different needs than a larger community. So you have to be able to fund them and fund them regularly in order for them to be productive for you. There was a funding mechanism that was in place that was the leftover from the courthouse bond. There was an additional amount at the end of that bond payment that was supposed to go directly to Arceta to fund that mechanism. That's the fuel to the engine. That funding source was taken away by the current commissioners. Where that money went, I have a feeling it probably went to raises, but you've taken the gasoline away from the motor that drives that economic machine. So my goal would be to reestablish a funding mechanism that would continue to drive that economic machine for growth within the county.
Thank you, candidates for county commissioner. That concludes all the questions we have currently for the county commissioners.